So the thing about trapping is that every single little detail matters a lot. It matters that the equipment is cared for, that you have the equipment, that you have the right equipment, the equipment is sized appropriately for the species and even the individual. Dogs that have a limp, for instance, need a bigger trap. It's hard for them to get in without hitting the trap. The trap has to be positioned well, both in the space of where you are at, and then as an individual thing, it needs to be level, needs to be stable, front to back, side to side. You need to think about the touch factor, what the dog is feeling as it approaches the trap, as it works around the trap, what it feels when it goes into the trap. Matters what the animal smells. As a general rule, easy animals are easier to catch. And so we could potentially put a little less work in, but we always want to be focused on the most difficult animal, whether we're talking dogs, cats, or any other species. We want to really, really carefully set every trap. So a lot of work has to go into each and every one of these. One of the first things I'm going to do here, this bush behind me has very large spines and it keeps poking me in the back. All right, the most important things is actually equipment accountability. So I'm going to pull up my map here. I'm going to zoom in to exactly where I'm at, and I'm going to put a marker right here. And it's going to say 48F, which is the type of trap that this is. It's hard to describe, but I'm going to say, oh, we can see where it is, but I'm going to say down the hill, approximately, let's say, 40 yards from vehicle park, just more or less where we're parking. So I'm going to change the symbol to a T, and that's going to remain a green marker. The green means that we have equipment in the field. So now I have a marker of this trap, because traps are costly. Traps can be stolen. This is quite out of sight, so I'm less worried about it. The first 3 traps we put in were more visible from up where people go. So those ones are locked and on the map. This one's not going to be locked. For one thing, we're out of locks. Traps are really valuable to any program, and especially on an island like this, it's so hard to get them in the first place. And unless they can get a pretty substantial donor to support some of their capture needs, it's just not likely they're going to get more traps anytime soon. The trap is costly to begin with, but shipping it is so much, and getting it to this island from Puerto Rico, like, it all just adds so much cost. So we want to make sure we're really careful with the assets that we have. And without further ado, I am going to set up this trap. Not for capture. We're not trying to catch anything today. We're just trying to get dogs comfortable around the traps. I'm going to look at my footprint here. I want this trap in a position where the dogs can't really go around it very easily. And then from here, I'm going to try to stabilize the ground a little bit. I do have a bucket of dirt that I've brought, but that's a scarce resource. So what I'm going to do, since this is actually loose dirt, I may not need the dirt I brought, but I'm going to turn it all over where the trap is going. So I want it to sit nice and flat and level, and I want there to be loose dirt that I could put in the trap. Man, if I'd have known this dirt was here, I wouldn't have brought all this dirt. It would have made my life a lot easier, but it's always good to be prepared. You frequently do have to bring dirt. This dirt's also going to help me see if there's any tracks of dogs or any other species. I know I'm going to get horses. Fortunately, the horses don't fit in this trap. There are mongoose on the island, and they're definitely a problem. They ate all the bait out of one of my traps yesterday. Mongoose are, well, I guess they're semi-crepuscular, so they're active Dawn and dusk is when I generally see them. I see them during the day sometimes. The dogs here are going to be a lot more nocturnal. I've only seen them in the dark really, or just after twilight, just before. So I can work around the mongoose, but it means that I've got to be ready to bait these things right when it's time for the dogs to get active. All right, so since I'm not trying to catch anybody, I'm going to make sure this trap won't function. So I'm going to zip tie this door open. I've got these huge reusable zip ties. These things are a game changer. I'll just keep using them over and over again. Nice and tight. I want to make sure there's no way the dog could actually accidentally get stuck in here. I don't want to trap anybody until I'm ready. I know the next trap I'm setting up definitely has no dirt around it, so I may save this dirt if there's anything else. Sometimes there's issues with like trash and stuff, so if you're trying to bed a trap down, you can also use the trap as a sifter. Like I can keep that vegetation out of there, or maybe rocks. Bigger rocks won't fit through. Trash, I mean this is a landfill, so that's an issue. And the place where we are right now, I think is already buried trash, and they just keep building up layer upon layer, so this will eventually be new trash again. Alright, so I like this. This is good. I'm going to really get in here, make sure that when a dog steps down, they're not going to feel metal. I don't want them to have any bad experiences with my traps. And I'm not going to bait these now. I'm not going to bait until, again, evening time, so I don't waste my food on some other species. Birds are a big factor here as well. All right, next trap.